Aloha and welcome to our video on fungi. Here we'll describe what a fungi is and show you some anatomy of them, and then also we'll talk a little bit about lichens. Okay, within the kingdom, fungi is where we find our fungus and our various different organisms that make up this kingdom. These would be like our mushrooms, which we see here. Yeast is another example. Mold is another example. So we have a bunch of different organisms that fall into this kingdom. Now, these guys may get confused for plants periodically, but they're not autotrophic. They're heterotrophic, which means that they have to go out and find their energy. They consume something. That's how they get their energy and their nutrients. They don't manufacture their own like a plant does. With the kingdom fungi, they generally fill the role as a decomposer. So they'll find dead and rotting things, and they'll return those nutrients to the soil, and that'll allow plants to grow. So they fulfill a vital role in the ecosystem. Now, if you look at our picture, you'll notice we have two different parts. We have this fruiting body, and then we have the mycelium here. And this is generally going to be like where the ground cover is. So if we take a look at the picture down here, and you see all of these different mushrooms here poking up here, what we notice is that underground, they're all going to be connected to the mycelium. So while it looks like there's a bunch of different organisms here, that's probably one large organism. It just has several fruiting bodies that are showing. Now, the fruiting body is where they produce spores, and those spores are going to be released out, and that's how they grow and spread their populations over areas. Now, as I mentioned, they start off with this mycelium down here, and that's under what we don't see, and that generally spreads out, and that's how they move around. So that's how one organism is going to grow. One of the interesting things is when they get like a bread mold gets into a loaf of bread, this mycelium might spread throughout the entire bread, even though you only see a little bit of the mold on the surface, and that's going to be its fruiting body showing and getting ready to reproduce. So as you can tell, the fungi is this diverse group, and the lesson will go into it a little bit more, but I just wanted to give you a quick run through and a quick introduction of them. Now, the last group that we're going to talk about real quickly is the lichens. And the lichens are kind of an interesting organism. They're categorized as an organism, but they're really made up of three different things. They have a fungal part to them here, which provides support. So if we look here, we'll see where the fungus is going to be here, and that's going to provide support, anchoring, things of that nature. They are also going to have an algae component, which we can kind of see in through here, and this is where they can do some photosynthesizing. That's where they can make their own food that way. And then finally, there is a bacterial component which gives them the nitrogen they need to live. So lichens generally tend to be the first organism into a unexplored or unexploited ecosystem. Like if you had a brand new island pop out of the ocean, the lichens, when they get there, those are ones that can survive because they have all these three parts that work together and allow them to live. And we can see them, they kind of be close to the rocks and live this way as well. Okay, so that's it for our discussion. We will wish you luck on the lessons as always, and we'll see you in the next video.